Hello everybody, this is Faith from Mini Mimi Thrifter. Today's video is going to be a little different. And if I get a little sidetracked, off course, scattered, it is because I'm just going to wing it, okay? So today's video has nothing to do with reselling except for the fact that I could not resell for probably 4 months or more. What it is that since I've been because of the Monster High Dolls, and I brought them all out, and we got to see the boxes and how bad they look because of the fire, and then my husband's cars that are selling, the Hot Wheels that are selling, and having to pull them out of the card to sell them, talking about the fire. So I just thought, well, to a lot of the subscribers I have probably have no clue what I'm talking about except for when I say we had a fire. So months ago I did make a couple of videos showing the fire and the results of the fire, and so I am going to link them all down below in the description. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about it, kind of explain what happened, and so you'll understand a little bit. And today is April 28th, so it's the anniversary of the fire, so I thought it was fitting to go ahead and do it today. So last year, April 28th, pandemic was just starting to get rolled out. My husband was on furlough because of the pandemic. He was outside mowing the grass. I was indoors doing my eBay, and at that house, my office was on the first floor, and all my inventory was upstairs. That morning, everywhere I walked in the house, well, not everywhere, mainly like the kitchen, the very back laundry room, there was this funky smell. I'd never smelled it before. And we looked all over the place. We looked upstairs, we looked on the first floor, we looked in the basement. We could not find anything, and I couldn't pinpoint where the smell was coming from. And so anyhow, that morning I ran upstairs, grabbed the items that were for that I had sold, like I said. But while I was up there, I noticed that the smell started getting stronger, and it was just starting to get nauseating. And so I was like, oh God. So I opened a window, and we had been renovating one of the rooms up there. And there was nothing going on as far as work. The previous day, my husband had pulled, what had he done? He pulled everything off the wall, like paneling or something. I forget exactly. And so the smell was getting really strong upstairs. So I opened up a window, and I tried to plug in a fan to blow the smell out, but realized I can't plug in the fan because my husband had turned off the power for safety reasons as he was pulling everything off out of that room. So I couldn't even plug in a fan. So I did leave the window open, hoping that whatever the smell was, I was thinking it was part of the construction crap that he had been pulling down. I was like, it's a really old home. The home was probably over 100 years old. It was a beautiful home. I love the front porch. So anyhow, he had, like I said, turned off the breaker for that area, so there was no issues. And I was thinking, God, the smell has got to be from all this old construction crap that he's pulled down. So I left the window. It was only open like maybe this far. It wasn't fully open. So went on downstairs, started to get things ready. Within 30 minutes, my smoke alarm ran off. And I'm freaking out, and I'm like, where, I got to find out which smoke alarm is going off. So I'm downstairs, and I step out of my office, and I listen again, realizing it's upstairs. So I open the door to upstairs. I go up the first flight, and then there's a little landing and like 3 or 4 little steps. And I was like, oh no. Then I went on up, and I went into the first big room where there was no construction going on. I had a lot of our memory stuff, children's toys and clothes from when they were babies, my husband's Hot Wheels, my Monster High Dolls. My inventory was in a separate room, and luckily I had shut the 2 French doors that morning when I left. So for whatever reason, I don't know why I did that. So I shut those doors. But so anyhow, when I got up to that bigger room where all our memories were, I saw smoke. And I was like, where in the crap? Luckily, I had one of those little two-way radios on me. And as I'm coming downstairs, I'm yelling for my husband. There's a fire. There's a fire. He runs in. He has, at his work, they have these masks that they have to put on for things like that. So he grabbed his mask. He ran upstairs. And I was trying to gather animals. We had 6 animals at the time, 4 dogs and 2 cats. So at first I just threw the cats in a bedroom, just real quick like, and then he came downstairs. He goes, it is bad. I could not even get all the way up the stairs. I could see nothing. I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. I had to back out. And I was like, oh my God. So I called 911. A neighbor even came and knocked on the door. Do you know your house is on fire? Yes, yes, yes. We're trying to get our pets. So I grab all the pets and I take them out back and I put them in a pen we had. And then he goes and he starts trying to grab the cats, and he finds them. He's having to throw a bed on one cat. She's freaking out so bad. He just had to completely turn the bed upside down to get the cat. And the firemen were there by that time, and because he was having to really hunt her down in that bedroom. And they were like, you got to get out of here. And he's like, I'm not getting out until I get my pet out, because there was no fire. We could see no fire on the first floor. It was just the smoke upstairs. I mean, we knew there had to be a fire somewhere, but, you know, he felt like he could at least get the animals out at that time. So we're throwing them in vehicles. And then we start moving our vehicles out of the way so the firemen could get in there with their trucks and all. And the dogs are in the pen, and as we're watching, all of a sudden we start seeing flames come out of the whirlybirds and the little pipes. I don't know what it was for, that come out of the top of the roof of the home. And it was so heartbreaking. We just loved that house. It was a Craftsman house, and it had to have renovations done, so it didn't have all the Craftsman into design inside, but upstairs it still had some of that. But anyhow, it was heartbreaking watching the fire start coming through the roof, and it was horrible. At one point it started getting so hot, and these are volunteer firemen, and that town, Fredericktown, Missouri, all their volunteers came and were helping. And then a place just down the road, I don't know, a couple miles down the road, called Cherokee Pass, they came and helped. So we had these 2 departments trying to save our home. And like I said, it got so hot at one point, we had to get the dogs out of the pen. And they weren't close, but we were just afraid, whatever they needed to do, we didn't want them to have to worry about the dogs being right there, because the dog pen was here and the fire was just right here off the pen. So my husband went in the pen and he starts handing dogs over this 6-foot gate to me and to a guy he worked with and his wife. And we just threw those 4 dogs into another vehicle, and we had to turn on the air conditioner. It's April 28th. It was not cool outside. It was warm. So the poor babies are in the vehicle freaking out, not understanding what's going on. It took a while to get the fire under control. They burst through a window. They had to chop the very peak of the house, and knocking holes. It was just dreadful to watch and heartbreaking. And your mind, you just don't know what to think at the time. Number one, I was so thankful that we were home. I was thankful that alrighty, sorry about that. Got a little emotional, had to compose myself. So like I was saying, I was thankful that we were home so our pets didn't get hurt or worse. I was thankful that we were awake when this happened. I was thankful that my husband was on furlough and I had someone there to help me with the pets. And with him being on furlough was actually a blessing, it turned out, because he was able, of course, after a fire, you got to get everything out that you can possibly salvage, right? And you want to do it as quickly as possible. So thieves don't come in and take your stuff, because you can't really lock up your home. You got a big hole in the roof. They can get in there if they want. So I was very thankful for all that, but it still hurt to watch your home burn. We'd only lived there, let's say 17, 18, 19, 20, 3.5 years. And yeah, because it happened in 220s. Yeah, 3.5 years we'd lived there. We had just moved from Memphis to there. And, it's hard. Your brain is scattered. What do you do? Where do we go? What's surviving? I had, you have all your family's memories there. You have your inventory in there. You have your supplies, your computer. That's your lifeline to eBay, right? Because I did just about everything on the computer. I can't list well on my phone. I don't know. So anyhow, your brain just doesn't know where to go, and it can't stop. And, at that time and figure things out, and you're just watching what you feel like is your life going up in flames and smoke and giant holes, and it's so depressing. But that first day you're just like, what the crap? You're 1 minute you're on, what are we gonna do to, oh my God, look at the flames, and then you're like, oh, my dogs. I mean, at one point we had one dog who, she was having a nervous breakdown. She was in there and she couldn't stop panting. So I had to get in the car with her. Of course, we had the air on, like I said. We had all the animals. By this time, we put all the animals in one vehicle, so they would all, we were hoping that if they were all together, they would feel more comfortable, but it didn't help her. So she was panting so bad, it was almost like a cough. So I had to go sit in the vehicle with her, and I stayed with her for, golly, probably, it seemed like it was probably over 30 minutes. I just sat there with her, talking to her, petting her, and of course the other animals as well, until that cough, that panting finally stopped. I was so worried that this was going to be something that injured her. I thought she had hurt her throat somehow. Thankfully, it did not. She was fine afterwards. So, yeah, the house was a total loss, a complete and total loss as far as the structure. But, like I said, I will link videos down below and you will see the mess. So, for the next, let me back up a second before I say this. We had so many family members and people that we didn't even know ask if we needed help. And we're not that kind of people, me and my husband. It can be a negative, because we didn't want to hinder anyone else. We just wanted to get our crap, move it, get it out of there, and figure out what to do, We didn't want to bother with other people, having to come over and help go through our mess. And, it was just, I don't know, we're weird that way. So, but our oldest son was able to come up, and him and his family came in, and they did have a little one, so we didn't let her go. I don't even think we allowed her in the house. We tried to keep her out on the porch, and I would pack boxes and they would grab boxes and load it. My husband and my oldest son were moving furniture, and so we made a couple of trips, I think, that day, and as far as from the home to where we were staying. And so moving out of the house, we only had my son and his family for a day and a half. And then after that, it was just me and my husband. And that was hard freaking work. It was hot. There's no air in the house, of course. So it was pretty miserable. But what we ended up doing was, his mom, my husband's mom, or My husband's dad, who has now passed, had a huge shop. It was huge. It was bigger than my home. And we took every bit of our belongings and took it to the shop. Um, and you'll see in the videos, the fire was on the second floor. It turned out to be electrical. It turned out to be in a crawl space that no one goes to. He said it was probably the old knob and tube, and he couldn't even get to it to verify that it was definitely the knob and tube. Because of where it was at, it was too dangerous for him to even go out there. Because there was nothing, the roof was gone. He could have walked out there if it was safe. But he was able to pinpoint where it started from. Said it was no fault of ours. We were afraid that the construction work had somehow done it, and he said no. He said that cellulose, which was what the insulation was, that blown cellulose is the worst stuff to have for your insulation. I know it's abundant everywhere now. Everybody likes that blown insulation. He goes, but it's not, as far as a fire, as far as looking at it, as far as from a fireman's, position. Because he said it can smolder for many days and then just poof, And I was thinking, well, maybe it was smoldering, and me lifting that window that morning kind of gave it the oxygen it needed. I don't know for sure, but I don't want cellulose. I don't want cellulose, and I think this house may have it, which is, what can you do? Nothing right now. But yeah, the fire was on the second floor. So of course, the firemen are going to put as much water on that second floor as they can to finally break through the hole and everything and get the fire out. They tore it up trying to find out where this fire was. I mean, they tore up lots of walls to get to it. And it was, I have to give it to the firemen. If I could have bought them each something, I would have. If I could have afforded to buy them all a gift, oh my God, I would have. Because those firemen came in, and there's some working on the second floor, and there's nothing else they can do. The ones that were, you can't have everybody up there at one time. So there were several upstairs working through the windows, through whatever, trying to get the fire out. And the others grabbed tarps, gobs and gobs of tarps, and they covered as much furniture as they could and saved so many items. I came in there after the fire was finally put out, and I see these tarps all over my furniture. So, like I said, after it was all over, fire was put out, everybody was gone, and I go into the home, and I see these tarps everywhere. And not only did they save furniture that we needed, recliners, they saved my family's antiques. I have items from my great-grandmother. She was born in like 1895 or something. I have items from both my grandparents, my mother. I'm trying. Okay. And it was very touching to see that they did this. They took the time to cover my crap so it wouldn't get ruined. Now, everything wasn't saved because, if after so much water weight, the tarps pull and then the water gets on whatever item it might be. And so everything wasn't saved. But some of the items that were saved were amazing. And it was just so touching to see that they did this. They didn't have to do that. I've never heard that they do that. Do they do that where you are? Do you know? This is a small town. You know, I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but and these were tarps that they brought. These were things that they had in their truck, I'm assuming. Because I was in the back of the house watching the fire, watching my house burn, and they were all coming, they were going through mainly the front because the back is where everybody was concentrated on the fire. So the ones that were just doing the tarps and such were coming through the front. So I never even knew that they were doing this. And so the water, they're concentrating all the water up on the second floor, but that water's got to go somewhere. So it's got to go through the second floor to the first floor, have a basement. That water there then has to go down to the basement. And it was something to see, but so then we start hunting for a home. And we find one, thank God, you know, and you're just like, please hurry up, please hurry up. And we get in here, and it took me probably a month or so before I could start getting on eBay again. And I lost probably $700 or more in inventory as far as, you know, listing price. That's what I was determining my price at is, if I had this listed for $20, that's what the item is worth. So I would say I lost probably over $700 worth in inventory and probably over $300 or more in supplies. I mean, you think about boxes and they get wet. You can't salvage that. And then some of them that didn't get wet, like they were still in their plastic, smoke got in there, and you couldn't get that smoke smell out of the boxes. So I lost a lot of supplies that way. So I had to recoup and build up my supplies again. And the little bit of inventory I still had left, I went ahead and listed. And it was a good amount. You know, I didn't have, I probably had more than half my items still survived. So, you know, it's crazy that it's been a year. It's been a crazy freaking year. Right in the middle of the pandemic, you know, we have a house fire. It's like, what the crap? A year. And it's kind of it's kind of, I don't want to, it's kind of a bad thing to say in a way, but the fire was a blessing because I loved my home over there. I did. I really loved the home, but I didn't like the area anymore. It was always loud because we were on Main Street. That's where I lived, on Main Street. So it was always noisy. I know it's a small town, but you wouldn't believe how noisy it gets. And, you know, we got these country boys and they want to have these loud vehicles, and we're right on the corner. We are at the intersection. We are on the corner of an intersection. So it's stopping, and then they have to squall tires. They got to have their music real loud. They got to have their thumping vehicles that sound like they need 5 mufflers on it because it's so freaking loud. I'm old. I don't want to hear it. So anyhow, I didn't feel like I had any privacy out back because it's hard to explain, but our property kind of ran into someone else's backyard. Our backyard ran into their, it was odd, and it wasn't fenced in, and they were nice people, but it was just, I like to walk out my backyard, I like to walk out into my backyard, and I don't feel like someone's staring at me. And this place also has an alley that goes behind it. So I had the street out front, the alley out back, the neighbor that seems to be able to stare at me all the time. It was just, I felt like I had no privacy. So I was really getting frustrated that I didn't like the spot we were in. And we rushed to get into that house as well. Different story for a different day. So when the house burned and we started getting into this home, we love this home. I mean, the house doesn't have the age and the beauty that house did. It doesn't have the character to it. But this house, this place has the privacy we wanted. We only got an acre here. I didn't need a lot, but I have privacy. you know, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to walk out in my backyard and do what I want, and I don't feel like people are staring at me. So there's not an alley to my back, you know, there's not a road straight out front or whatever. There's space in between me and a road. So I do like my privacy, and you know, I can get a shed, and you know, I can have all the flowers and trees I want. It's just the things we've always wanted. You know, we got a big old deck out back, and that's really nice. And you know, it's just a very peaceful place to be, and the solitude we like, and it's the fire's actually kind of been a blessing that we got to a place that we've kind of always wanted to be because of it. So if you've made it this far, I very much appreciate you watching, because I've been on for a while now. And everyone, y'all go out and make yourself proud and have a great day. Bye bye.